Welcome to Phil with Forbes 30 podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Take us back to the beginning. Where were you when you first found out you were on the Forbes list?
So I think the original email that was sent to me went to spam. So it was one morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. I was rolling out of bed, getting ready to go to work. And then I had like 3 friends messaging on Facebook going, "Congratulations!" I'm like, "What for what?" Like, we already announced that we're having a baby. Like, you don't need to talk about this. And then like I dug a little deeper. Like I literally replied, it's like, "Hey, thanks, but why?" And then they told me about the Forbes thing, and then I went to the website and saw it. And that was just like such a phenomenal moment. It's definitely been a dream of mine just as a kid. Having seen so many of my heroes make this list since I was like in high school and college, and the fact that I actually did this, especially on the last year, because I just turned 30 like two months ago. On the last year it was possible, so it was kind of a phenomenal moment.
Who was the first person you shared it with?
My wife, who was, also in bed with me. I was like, hey, guess what? And she was like, "Oh, what's going on?"
A month before, actually, my mom passed away. I was down in Puerto Rico right after the hurricanes. It was devastated down there. And we were driving from a location where we had an installation for a children's home that we donated assistance to. And I was in the passenger seat, and my director of sales was in there, and I got the email, and I was blown away. It was something that I really needed at the time. It was great to have that kind of recognition, especially after such a hard month and a half before that, and kind of seeing the devastation down there. It made me it reinforced what I was doing was the right thing at the time. It changed my life in a lot of ways. It was a really hard month and a half before that with everything that was going on, and I needed that reinforcement at the time. It was
you
really
need
great.
that validation, because for a long time as an entrepreneur building your startup, you almost seem a little crazy, and you're doing this alone, and am I the only one who thinks this is a good idea and that we have something here? And if you just persevere long enough, you can ultimately make it through the social peer pressure and be forced to
survive until you thrive.
There you go.
I was sitting right at my desk right here, and I was on a meeting, and I just got off the meeting, and I had about a 5-minute interval between my next meeting, and so I actually emailed the editors asking, what's going on with the list, because it was like they left it till the last day. They didn't respond to my email. They left me hanging for a couple of days, and then out of nowhere, in between that meeting, I got tagged on LinkedIn by one of the editors in a post, congratulating all the Forbes 30 under 30. And, if I'm honest, I just straight away started calling my dad, started, telling people. So I was a little bit late to my next meeting, but this is the exact same spot I'm in right now. So
we were on the plane, so I turned off on my phone for airplane service or airplane mode. And right before, I got a text from an old intern that I had, and she was like, "Oh, congrats on Forbes." And I was like, what are you talking about? And so I was like switching out the SIM card really fast before the flight was leaving so that I could check, and that's how I found out. So the rest of the flight, I was just sitting there because I couldn't read, or like I couldn't check anything. So I was just sitting on the whole flight just being like, I wonder what's happening right now. And I was like, is it real? So it was definitely such a mind-blowing experience, because I think also for some reason I wasn't on the emailing list, so I didn't ever see the email come through that I was like selected. So I truly found out at the same time everybody else found out.
It was in the morning, and a friend texted me and said, "Congratulations." And I had asked, "Congratulations for what?" And then he ended up sending me a screenshot. And yeah, I don't think I went to work that day. I was too excited to do any experiments.
And I was shocked. I started dancing in the middle of the platform by myself, no music or anything. I just started dancing, and people started looking at me, and I didn't know what to do. I was so excited. And it was funny because at the same week, I was featured in like 2 lists. It was like the hottest single ladies in Israel and the Forbes 30 under 30. And I called my parents to tell them about the Forbes, but they heard about the other list first. So they were like, they didn't understand what's happening. It was funny, but yes, they were very, very proud.
So we're at this hotel we usually go to when we do our annual pilgrimage to South Africa. We went on this hike in one of the famous mountains in South Africa called Lion's Head, and particularly just reminiscing on our time, the hard work we've put in to get to where we are today, and which encompasses, us being denied fundraising opportunities, a lot of no's, and just reflecting on the year and thinking how, far we've come and standing on the shoulders of men. Got back to the hotel and we got close to 200 messages, people congratulating us. We're like, wait, what broke? Did we break something, or what happened right now? Because we're always firefighting and trying to solve a particular problem. So we looked at all the text messages, it was just congratulations, and we opened our email and got the official notification from Forbes. And that night was so amazing because 2019 was arguably one of the toughest years of our life. Our business was on the brink of, going away. There are points whereby we didn't even have anything to eat and we were in a lot of debt. But our relationship, as what we like to call each other, our work-husband relationship, really led to cementing, just such a tough year. And when we found out we were on the Forbes 30 under 30 list, it was just the icing on the cake.
We didn't even know what we were being congratulated for. It was just, congratulations, I'm so proud of you. And we're just like, what are we talking about here? We're like not even in the United States right now. So I think, to be frank, the first thing Abby and I did was just take a step back and, reflect. We stayed out at the hotel that night and just kind of talked about our journey. And really, I think primarily shared that moment with each other. Ironically, personally, I didn't even share it with my family. I'm very uncomfortable with that sort of thing. My girlfriend actually ended up sharing it with my parents 3 months later, and that's how they found out.
I got this newsletter from Forbes wherein there was this publishing dates for different lists, and I was just going through it while brushing my teeth. You don't expect things like this to happen, so I'm just going on it to see if my name is there. So I just put in K-U-N-A-L, and then Garg comes out. I'm like, okay. So I press on it, and then I'm listed there. So I didn't finish brushing. I've called my whole family. I've called my friends. It was really great to see that, there is some standing for such technology out there and for such actions out there.
Called my parents, called a friend who was on his morning commute. And he calls me and is like, of course you would call me and rub this in my face. And I was like, wow, how about just congratulations? I'm so proud of you.
I think I was at the pub. I have this bad habit of checking work emails at the pub. I was with a couple of friends, so it was an immediate celebration. It would probably be the person that nominated me. A very impressive lady called Emily Forbes, who runs a startup a couple of years older than us, but we went through the same accelerator program. Those mentors that are just a few years ahead of you, they're so valuable because they're really still in the trenches, and they've got a lot more hands-on expertise with the stuff that for you feels super new, and for them they've sort of chewed over for a little bit. So yeah, Emily was definitely, she nominated me. She's helped me in so many other ways as well, and I definitely would have called her and been like, thank you so much.
She must have been so proud, and you almost feel like you get to share in the success.
And he texted me, he was like, Maitea, did you see it? I was like, what's going on? So it was quite an exciting moment for the two of us, because this was one of the milestones that we were aiming for when we first really got into the whole startup scene. But I was quite relaxed. I think I was actually having a cup of tea. It was an afternoon, totally not expecting it. I think I pretty much jumped out of the couch and just screamed. I was like, it happened.
I remember flipping through my iPhone and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got the email that I made the Forbes list. It was really surreal being in another country and then kind of hearing that you made the list, which was really awesome. I was actually traveling with my buddy. I just pushed my phone to him, like, you gotta read this thing, man. And I could see him as he was flipping through the phone and seeing his eyes light up, as he got to the bottom, and he's like, dude, congratulations, man.
I didn't actually update my social media to announce it until maybe the evening, 5, 6 o'clock, because I'd spent all day emailing my past mentors, emailing organizations and groups that I was part of, because I wanted to thank them. They poured into me, and so I wanted to show them that, it was for a reason.
You focused on giving back first and letting the people know, hey, thank you for helping me get to where I am now.
Exactly.
That's very selfless of you.
There were so many emails I had to send. I literally looked up and it was 5, 6 o'clock before I got a chance to post on it.
It was a very nonchalant email. Like it you know, just black and white text. I read it like 10 times to make sure that it wasn't like just a...
You even started rapping it. You're like, let me sing this one out.
I read it like 10 times just to make sure it wasn't like some sort of spam or something like that. And I read it. Yeah, I wasn't sure that it was real. And then I realized that there was a link at the bottom of it. I clicked on the link and I saw my picture. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, like this is really real. You know, reaching out to a few close friends and family and like, oh my gosh, like you're not gonna believe this. Like I'm on Forbes 30 under 30. They were like, what? Like the thing that really made it real was seeing the picture. That was what was crazy. And then seeing your picture next to Patrick Mahomes, and it really makes you reflect back on like where you started. I was like, when I started this, did I think that, you know, I'd be in the Forbes list? Like that's just crazy. And it really makes you thankful for the journey.
I was flying back to New York. So I was actually on my way to the airport to fly back to New York. It was like January 1st. Someone in my department tweets, congratulations, and tags me like at Neil Madugan. I'm like, what is he congratulating me for? And then so I opened the tweet and like I messaged him like, yeah, what's up? Like something happened? Like, am I missing something? Like he sits right next to me. So I thought it was a work thing. I'm like, oh, did we get a good scientific result? Or like, what's going on here? And then he just tweets like, oh, check out Forbes.com. And like, still I'm like, what is he talking about? Not even remembering that this list was something we had been nominated for. And then I remember pulling it up and then just like telling my parents in the car, I'm like, oh, I guess I made the Forbes 30 under 30 list. I almost missed my flight because we were like chatting in the car. And I'm the type of person who goes to the airport like right before the gate closes. It's a cool moment, certainly. It's something I was not even close to expecting, but it was fun.
You're on the short list to making the Forbes list. Do you want to come to London? So you find out right away when it gets announced. I was like, I'm never going to make it on that list. I'm not going to go to London. I'll just sit it out, you know? And I open my emails in the morning and I get these hot flashes. Apparently I had already grasped what was in my inbox, but I didn't actually read it. Like my eyes went over it and I felt myself tense up. I'm going, what is this? Oh, there's an email and it says you made it on the Forbes list. And I kind of flew through that day.
When I got it, I wasn't clear that I was on the list. Like the email I got was like, hey, you're on the short list, which I thought meant, you know, the long list for the under 30 list. And it turned out to actually be the list itself. So it was sort of anticlimactic until I went to the launch event in London. And I was asking, okay, so when do they announce the ones that made the list? So they're like, no, you're on it. Oh, okay. Cool.
That's amazing. So you didn't find out till you're actually at the event. You're rubbing elbows and chatting with other Forbes listers, and you're like, oh, I'm actually on the list too.
It was a pretty significant moment in my career, and I think, you know, I really can't thank Forbes enough for the opportunities that I've gotten as a result of the recognition. I think what they do is incredible in recognizing young talent that, you know, is eager to change the world in different segments that are very important. And, you know, even the peers I've met in the education group, I've become good friends with, and some of them have become great mentors because, you know, we're building the future, right? Like these young professionals, the ones that say, you know what, I'm not going to start at the bottom of the totem pole and work my way up. I actually want to create my own totem pole, and I want to let other people climb that totem pole and teach me some things. And I want to learn from other people who have done this before. And so that to me is like kind of that like intuitive need to like continuously learn and challenge myself, and that's what kind of got me to dive right back into education, you know, change the business model, change the product, change, you know, which stakeholders we were serving and how, and so that was really all rooted in, you know, that, you know, moment. I was in the basement in my room in Arlington, Virginia, and got like probably one of the best emails that changed my career so far.